Great. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the public hearing for Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. I'll call this to order at 6 o'clock. This public hearing is being held pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act. All members of the public will be given a reasonable time to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaw that is the subject of this public hearing. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received by noon today concerning the subject bylaw have been circulated to Council and are available to the public as part of the meeting package. Staff will provide their report, followed by an opportunity for the applicant to speak. Members of the public who have pre-registered to speak have been added to the speakers list in the order that the requests were received. Anyone who has not pre-registered may call into the conference line during the live meeting by calling the meeting conference line at 778-907-2071 and entering the meeting ID 506-489-9374 with the passcode 485186. The Mayor or the Deputy Mayor will then provide an opportunity for public comment according to the speakers list, followed by comment from those who have just joined the meeting. Speakers will be asked to state their name and civic address. Please note that all representations, whether written, in person, or electronic, are available to the public for viewing as part of the public record. Remarks will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker and should include all relevant information in their presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded to all members of the public to speak a second or third time with new information only, once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. Council may ask questions of staff, the applicant, and the public, but once the public hearing is over, no new information may be received. Council debate on the bylaw will take place during the regular council meeting following the conclusion of the public hearing. The corporate officer will now provide information on the notice of this public hearing.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Trainer. So notice that the public hearing was given in accordance with the Local Government Act and the district's public notice bylaw. In addition, 16 notices were hand-delivered to owners and occupiers of neighboring properties. The district has received 2 written submissions, with one asking clarification questions about parking and access, and another one in general support of the proposal.
Okay, thank you. So now on to the public hearing part, and I'll hand it over to Julie to introduce the topic tonight.
Thank you. My name is Julie McGuire. I'm the Director of Development Services, and I'm here today to present on this concurrent application that seeks to amend the official community plan to include 17013 Sanborn Street into the urban growth boundary, to amend the OCP to redesignate from rural residential to medium density residential and open lands, and to rezone from country residential to residential medium density, preservation and protection, and country residential with site-specific provisions. It is within an approved neighborhood of Hunters Hill, and this proposal would allow for a variety of medium density housing options in a greenfield setting. I'll just hang on for the presentation. All right, the subject site is shown on the map in pink, and it's located southwest of downtown, adjacent to the south of the Hunters Hill development. The site is 13.43 acres or 5.43 hectares. It's a lot that has a single residential home with vehicle access off of Sanborn Street. The applicant is proposing to include the subject site within the OCP's urban growth boundary, as additional density outside the urban growth boundary is discouraged. The primary objective of an urban growth boundary is to direct residential development or residential growth to central areas either with existing infrastructure or planned for future development. Water and sewer lines are located along Sanborn, adjacent to the subject site. So the District of Summerland is currently updating its OCP, and as part of the updated draft OCP, staff are proposing a revised urban growth boundary, which will include this subject site and the adjacent Hunter Hills lands. In preliminary OCP engagement with Council, there is support for these new inclusions into the urban growth boundary. The application request aligns with this direction of the proposed OCP for the urban growth boundary amendment. There is a portion of the subject site that is within the agricultural land reserve, and that area is 0.21 hectares and is in the southeast corner of the property as shown on the map. The Agricultural Land Commission requires lands in the ALR to maintain agricultural uses and therefore maintain a zone that allows agricultural uses. So future subdivisions should follow ALR boundaries, and the recommendations from the ALC are to use landscape buffers between the urban development and ALR lands. This is an image of that ALR piece. The site is included in the Hunters Hill Neighborhood Plan. The focus of the plan has been to support low-density, large-lot, single detached residential development with on-site septic. However, the Hunters Hill developed with smaller lots of 1,300 square meters with municipal sewer servicing, and this proposal aligns with the existing Hunters Hill Neighborhood Plan policies for natural environment protection, trail integration, and development. The current OCP designation is rural residential, with rural residential on 3 sides and an agricultural designation to the south. The proposal is for rural residential to medium density residential and open lands as shown on the map. The medium density residential supports higher density development with a range of housing types such as low-rise apartments, cluster development, townhomes, with a maximum building height of up to 4 stories. The open lands designation allows forestry grazing, recreation, conservation management. And that piece, rural residential, allows that 1 residential unit per lot unless connected to urban services. So for the zoning, the current zoning designation is country residential, CR1, with surrounding CR1 of Hunters Hill and some A1. The proposal is for the subject site to be rezoned from CR1 to residential medium density, preservation and protection, and CR1 with site-specific provisions, as shown on that map. So residential medium density supports higher density residential development and a mix of housing types such as apartment, cluster, duplex, multi-unit townhousing at 15 meters or 4 stories. Full urban servicing is expected to be provided for new lots in this zone. The preservation and protection zone supports the protection of higher environmentally sensitive lands and has limited usability. These areas align with an environmental assessment from the applicant as having higher environmental sensitivity and limited buildable area due to steep slopes. Just a note for council on this, you'll be requested to amend the zone title from protection and park zone. It was miswritten in the previous bylaw, and now it's preservation and protection zone. So just wanted to clarify that. And the CR1 is a site-specific, and it allows agricultural uses to align with what the Agricultural Land Commission would like. And these lands are staying in the ALR. So servicing, an engineering report was submitted with a review of water needs for the property. If fully built out, which is 150 units on the upper portion and 20 on the lower, water upgrades would be required for water reservoir, water pump, and water main for the upper portion of the property. The applicant submitted a sewer modeling request on December 10th, and district staff are reviewing the draft modeling report as it relates to the sanitary capacity and offsite requirements. The district is also recommending an amendment to a map 1.3 and Schedule A of the Subdivision and Development Servicing Bylaw to include this property within the sewer specified area. This aligns with the site-specific amendment to require sewer in that CR1 area parcel. And all modeling would be required prior to development, and it would be up to the developer to determine the appropriate density and site design based on modeling and restrictions of each service. So in conclusion, the proposed inclusion of the parcel within the urban growth boundary aligns with the proposed urban growth boundary in the new OCP. The residential uses largely align with medium density residential policies in the OCP. To address BC's severe housing needs, the province initiated initiatives to increase housing supply and to offer more affordable choices. And this proposal aligns with the housing needs report. And many members noted that there is a need for smaller houses on smaller lots like townhomes, duplexes, and suites. So in conclusion, this application is supported. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll now ask for the applicant to come up and you can give your presentation. Just turn on your mic there.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council, staff, and the public. My name is Lisa Schumacher, and I work for McElhaney as a planning consultant, and I'm here on behalf of the clients who own 17013 Sanborn Street. I'm joined today by my colleague, Brad Alenko from McElhaney as well, who you may recognize from the APC meeting and the first and second reading, as well as the property owners themselves, Vic and Karen Martins. Today we're presenting an official community plan and rezoning amendment for the property on Sanborn Street in Summerland. And I apologize if some of this is a repeat. Julie did a great job of explaining, so I'll try to go through a little quicker on some of those slides that are repeating. So the reason for this application is to propose future development of these lands. The subject property is around 13 acres, 5.43 hectare parcel, currently containing a single residential home with access off Sanborn Street. For context, it is situated just south of the Hunters Hill development. And the image on the screen there on the top right just shows you some of the stunning views that this property has. So right now the entire property is zoned as rural residential. You can see in the top image there in the blue. This land use is not really intended for development. As such, we're proposing amendments to the OCP to better reflect what development could look like. So the primary objective of this amendment is to change the land use designations from rural residential to a mix of open lands, medium density residential, and keep a small corner as rural residential. Another amendment we are asking for is an amendment to the urban growth boundary. The image at the top shows a portion of the current urban growth boundary in the OCP and points to the shaded area of where the property is. The image at the bottom shows the proposed urban growth boundary in the new OCP. So you can see it's already been included in discussions that this area would be added to the urban growth boundary, demonstrating that this area does in fact make sense to expand to. And then the third item we are seeking is the zoning amendment. So again, the image at the top just shows what it's currently zoned as country residential, and the bottom is what we are proposing. So the preservation and protection zone, medium density residential, and country residential. So I'm just going to give a brief overview of some of the zones that we are proposing. So the preservation and protection zone, you can see highlighted in the green in the image below. These areas are being set aside due to their high ecological value and steep slopes. So these lands are intended to be preserved in their natural state. They will not form any part of parkland dedication or contain active trails. The medium density residential, again, the bottom map highlights where development would occur. And a few questions we've been asked is why haven't we gone for a lower density zone and why we're going for the medium? And really the reason is the RMD zone allows for a diversity of housing types, which is what Summerland needs. So the RMD zone includes things like apartments up to 4 stories, cluster housing, duplexes, townhomes. And then lastly, we are keeping a small portion as country residential, and that is what the land is currently zoned as. This is really to adhere to the ALC regulations, as that portion is in the ALR. And pulling it out at this time could really slow down the process. So we've decided to keep it zoned as it is today with some additional text amendments to ensure that if there was a future subdivision, if this parcel being taken off, it would still be compliant with zoning and ALC regulations. So there's been a number of supporting studies that have been completed along with this application. An environmental assessment was done in 2024. This looked at the environmental values of the property, and the results of that are reflected in the PP zones that I showed earlier, making sure that those do not become developed. There was a geotechnical assessment in 2024, an engineering design brief in 2025, and sewer modeling that was completed this year. Just a note on the servicing. What exists out there today could support low density development as is. However, the medium density portion may require upgrades, which will be paid for by the developer at the subdivision or building permit stage. So really the rationale and justification behind the OCP and rezoning is that this proposal is an efficient and cost-effective use of land. Directing development to areas with already existing infrastructure reduces the environmental footprint and promotes efficient land use. The OCP and rezoning also addresses a critical need. So the district's housing needs report indicates that Summerland requires 671 units over the next 5 years. So these units need to go somewhere, so what better place than where servicing already exists? The RMD zone, as I mentioned earlier, does provide a good diversity of housing options that the other zones don't provide. And again, any servicing extensions or upgrades would be paid for by developer, avoiding any strain on the district. A few other notes. This area has been planned for development as part of the Hunters Hill Neighborhood Plan. It was added in 2016. And the studies that have been done prove that the lands can accommodate the increased density. Another key item is that the urban growth boundary, the new engagement with the engagement with the new OCP has consistently identified this area for inclusion in the urban growth boundary, again demonstrating that this is an area where you want to see growth. And one other item to mention is prior to development of multifamily buildings, so in the RMD zone, development permits would be required for multi-unit housing. So that would just be another avenue where form and character can be controlled versus for single family homes, those development permits wouldn't be required. This slide is just a brief project timeline. So just shows all the steps we've taken to get here today. So we submitted our application back on January 31st of last year, and have moved through the various stages, leading us to the public hearing today, just shy of a year after initial submission. And thank you for your time. We are open to any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Corporate Officer, I'm just going to double check with you. Council can do questions now or after public comment?
You could do now. You just have to call 3 times. So you could ask if there's anyone in the public that would like to speak.
The public comment first then.
You could do one of the 3 calls, and then you could go back to council for questions. But
okay, so thank you for that. So we'll hear from the public and then we'll do questions. So is anybody from the public that would like to speak? Come on up and just state your full name and your address.
Hello, my name is Nolan Grant. My address is 11316 Sandmore. I apologize for wearing my hat. I came from work. I came with my wife, Maria, in the back there, and neighbors, Mike and Dwayne, and some other neighbors. But I myself wanted to voice some concerns or some points that maybe we could look deeper into, especially with the urban growth boundary. And I think they call it a boundary for a reason, because when things are inside of it, then it works as planned, and when things are outside, it doesn't work. So seeing that this development is so far from the downtown core, and that we're shooting for a medium density, which is going to bring in people with maybe a fixed income or possibly a lower income, so maybe less people with cars, or they're looking to ride bikes or take public transit, right? On the top of the hill, these things aren't available, nor do we have sidewalks or streetlights or many things, right? So as well, I live on the street, we farm grapes, as well as Dwayne farms and my neighbor Tyler farms. And putting that many people in a farming situation, I feel also creates static with bird cannons and sprays and chemicals and tractors. I mean, the last thing I want is to be coming around a row 20 feet from the road and somebody's children are walking by while I'm spraying hazardous chemicals, right? So I'm protected, but they're not, right? So, and I just feel that, I mean, if the area was to be developed, maybe something more along the line with Patrick's idea with Hunter Hill, you know, a single detached home, beautiful neighborhoods, people can come and go and whatever. But I feel that, you know, medium density for our community, we should think, just because we need to come up with so many new addresses, do we need to be hasty with where we put them, right? Maybe a developer should knock on some doors downtown, find these big lots with these old homes. Hey, would you like to sell? We're looking to build some condos right by Nesters, right by the school, in the areas where it's practical and the bus can stop and the grandma can walk to the store, kind of thing, right? So these are some concerns that I have and my neighbors have. So I appreciate your guys' time. I'm sure I forgot many things that I wanted to say, but I don't want to ramble. I'll let the other guys try and get some points that I forgot. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you think of something else, you can always come back up after we've gone through everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, would somebody else like to come up? Any rumblings back there? I'm about to call for the third time, so would you like to come up?
Thanks. Good evening, Council, and I'm Megan Steele. My address 15407 Charles Avenue, and I'm here tonight. I'm familiar with the property, and I sat formerly on the South Okanagan Housing Advocacy Group. I'm a member of the BC Property Rights Association, the Okanagan Real Estate Investment Group, formerly Valley Co-Housing Consultants, and Valley Vista Properties. So, excuse me, cough today. I'd just like to just make a few points that might be in addition to the presentation that you had tonight. And I start with gratefully acknowledging that I work, live, and play on the land of the Okanagan Silex people. And mixed family, multifamily housing strengthens our communities by also widening the types of people that can live, work, and play also in our community. So thriving communities are diverse, and diverse housing types add livability with mixes of townhomes, duplexes, and single family. Attainable housing options for young adults and essential workers, seniors, and families aren't easily available in our community, so this is an opportunity to be able to bring more of those here. It's also an opportunity with multifamily is to support aging in place, and we've looked into that through research in our co-housing opportunities. And so mixed family has some different options, but it certainly addresses that as well. It makes it so that younger people have a place to be and open for more generations to come. The medium density residential is something that local economies really require to be thriving. is housing that can be more attainable for staff housing, for employees, local employees. It strengthens local businesses. It reduces commute. And we also have a lot of remote workers, so it brings more dollars into our community as well. We have currently really high unemployment rates in the Valley, and we have very low investor confidence. So an opportunity for development is something that could be really great for Summerland. Increasing our housing supply, having addressed both the current housing needs report and I believe it was 2017 housing needs report, we don't have a lot of opportunities to meet those goals. And so this is a really good spot to be able to put that. Increasing housing supply with a range of prices is really important as well. We see here in the Okanagan that there aren't a lot of attainable housing options for people. And when they took out vacation rentals, that also took out a lot of attainability, people not being able to rent their suites, those sorts of things that have happened. So that this is, again, an opportunity for more diversification. Building opportunities create jobs for skilled labor and professional services, realtors, designers, developers. And research shows that smart housing density strengthens social cohesion, community well-being, and a diverse range of income and ages creates more connected, resilient, and vibrant communities. Supporting our local economies, strengthening our school stability, and creating intergenerational relationships and increase social capital for the town. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else like to come up? Come on up.
Hello, thanks for having us. My name is Maria Grant, and I also live at 11316 Sanborn Street. I would just like to maybe comment on the last comment. I too believe that affordable housing is a smart thing for us to do in Summerland. Putting it up in Hunter's Hill, just to kind of reinforce what my husband had said earlier, doesn't make a lot of sense for the affordable housing person that would buy a home. In town definitely makes most sense for that medium density. When you're up in Hunter Hill, my children have to pay for a courtesy bus pass, just so you know. So that way, those children that are living on that hill, 160 potential homes, would have to pay $155 for their child to catch a bus. And we all know that it's quite far away from any safe walking. So, and that's once the children hit grade 9, they're no longer eligible for the school bus, and then you have to pay that much per child. So if we're talking about affordability, in town makes most sense. A Hunter Hill area is high-end multi-million-dollar homes being built up in that area. So it just, it's counter logical. I feel like sometimes we're not forward thinking about where we want to put our housing, and we're like, oh, look, a spot's there, we should just do it. But maybe some forward mindful planning of where we would put medium density, 160 new families or people in that area for transportation alone, let alone work, employment. Most people, I work in West Kelowna, my husband works in Kelowna. These are people with cars, and so it's not really the lower income, it's the middle class that are buying these places. Anyways, it's not really young families, it's not really young people who can't even afford a $500,000 condo anyways. It's going to end up being renters who are probably on the lower end that need the structure, the infrastructure of the city, is what I'm trying to say. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else? Does anybody want to come up a second time? Oh, just one sec. Kendra, can the applicant speak again?
Applicant.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make it quite clear to council that this development is about options. There's been a lot of conversation about multifamily, focusing on multifamily use. That's an option in this zone, but the zone does allow cluster housing, which is single family in a denser pattern, up to multifamily. The decision to go to multifamily would have to be, will be made certainly with contemplation of the cost to improve the services to allow that. So depending on the developer and depending on the owner's desires, they may choose to go with a very low density cluster type of housing, which would be sort of single family in nature. So I just wanted to make sure that council was clear that this zone does not indicate that multifamily will be the preferred use. It's just an option, and it does give the developer the option to provide that or a mix of uses, including low density cluster homes, possibly a few townhomes, and possibly a small multifamily. So it's really about options. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that. Would anybody else from the public like to speak? You can come up a second time, yep. Just state your name and address one more time for us.
Nolan Grant, 11316 Sanborn. So I'll just say one quick thing to the applicant there in response to what he said. Yeah, so they'll put in all the work and it's up to the developer to choose if he wants to go for the whole 150 or he's going to do less. But I mean, we can all assume that any developer with money is not going to ring the middle of the bucket. He's going to go for the top, and no bad shots at Patrick, but we started with a 68 unit country residential neighborhood as Hunter Hill. And we ended up with a 160 unit beautiful neighborhood. So no developer is going to look at something that's possible and then go for less. He's going to stick 150 units in there, and then that's what it's going to be. So that's just, I just wanted to clarify that, you know, he's going to say that they may not, but I'm pretty sure that we can all imagine that they probably would go for the biggest neighborhood possible, given the scenario, to make more money. Right? Thank you very much again for your time.
Hey, thank you. You gonna come up?
I just, sorry, have one thing to say.
We
Congestion.
just need your name and
Oh,
address.
sorry, Jenny Chick, and I'm 16200 Watson Ave. The congestion on that road with 150 units, two of them you guys want to do? Is that what we said? One? 100, anyway, 150 units, the congestion already on Hunter's Hill with the developments that are there. That road has gotten really busy, but with a multi-unit, that's going to be crazy. Just saying. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna ask one final time. Is there anybody else who would like to come up?
Go ahead.
You can pull up another chair if you need to.
Hi, Vic and Karen Martins, 17013 Sanborn Street, Summerland. My wife and I are the owners and applicants of the property being discussed here tonight. We were first introduced to Summerland when we would bring our family here to visit our grandparents. When we had opportunity to move, we traveled to and considered communities from Merritt to Grand Forks. Summerland became our clear choice. We have owned and operated our small business in Summerland for the past 33 years, as well as raising our 3 daughters here. It's been a pleasure being a part of the community and watching its beautification and evolving, vibrant business community. We love Summerland and plan to be a part of the community for years to come.
Well, I don't know where the time has gone, but apparently it certainly has. What an interesting and dynamic project this has turned out to be. As Vic mentioned, we chose to move to Summerland over 30 years ago. We both grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone and a sense of community was as natural as the seasons. When we chose to relocate our family, finding a place where a strong sense of community existed was a guiding principle for us. We chose Summerland because of the sense of inclusion, closeness, diverseness, and opportunity that we felt here. This same guiding principle remains with us and has largely informed our vision and dedication to this project. The growth of towns and cities has always been of interest to both of us. When we travel or visit family in different areas, we inevitably find ourselves wandering through developments, taking notes on what we feel enhances and supports the sense of community in each one. What we have invariably come to realize is that housing is just the beginning, a foundation that provides the opportunity for a future community. However, what creates a true sense of community is the interaction of the people within it. For us, the dynamic community is enhanced by its diversity, a diversity and texture of ages, life stages, and lifestyles, a sharing of life's experiences. This is what we searched for and found in Summerland over 30 years ago. We truly feel blessed to have had the opportunity to raise our children in this town. And as they grew up, moved away, and had children of their own, they began to realize that as well. We feel honored to have a role in being part of providing that same opportunity for others through this project. Our project has been a true working together and an education in and of itself. We are thankful for the guidance and encouragement and support we have received over the years. Several of you sitting here tonight were part of decisions made years ago that were incremental elements in moving this project forward. Like Summerland and its needs, our project has evolved over the years. We have endeavored to bring forward an application that is well supported, in alignment with the needs and wishes of our town, and most of all, an opportunity for the future creation of a dynamic, diverse, and inclusive community. We thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay, I'm going to ask council now if we have any questions for staff or for our applicants. Go ahead, Councillor Barkwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering about the two areas of open area that said we're not going to have any trails or anything through them, but I can see that there'll be natural, I don't know, bike paths for kids or something, and to prevent erosion. And maybe this is for the planning staff or the developer. Wouldn't you put some stairs or something so there's some connectivity within the development?
Through the Deputy Mayor, that kind of design would happen at a later stage, and it could be part of the future development. It's possible that there could be stairs, but I think it's really intended to be preserved and not touched, and it's pretty steep, I think, in there, right? So it's a possibility, but maybe not.
Well, I'll leave it, obviously it's something down the road, but I'd like to leave that thought in your head. From what I've seen, to preserve areas like that,
they often put in stairs to keep people off the ground of, sensitive areas and particularly steep areas where you bring the dirt down with you, because, there's no stopping kids. They're going to be going through there.
Councillor Betts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This question is about the vehicle access, so probably for Director of Development, or I'm not sure, maybe. So at this time, right now, the vehicle access is intended solely off of Sanborn, is that correct?
Through the Deputy Mayor, at this point in rezoning, that kind of detail isn't necessarily set in stone. I think the intent is that there's the lower plateau, which would be accessed off Sanborn, a lower development site. And then there's the upper portion that's up quite a steep slope that wouldn't be conducive to access off of Sanborn. There is future road dedication to be given through Hunter's Hill, as far as I'm aware, to access that upper site. So that would come through Hunter's Hill, presumably.
Can I follow up? So building on exactly that, so it's still going to be the same access. As far as I'm aware, there's only one in and out access to the Hunters Hill neighborhood. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm just wondering, as this proposed development moves along and both proposed developments are evolved to their fullest capacity, we're looking at approximately 300 homes potentially up in that area. And so is there any discussion about a secondary access, for example, through to Garnet Valley Road?
Through the Deputy Mayor, there haven't been any formal discussions as far as that goes. The intent has been that access is going to be through Sanborn. As far as public roads go, there is the emergency egress that goes to Garnet Valley Road, and it is kind of in that state as it is today. It's a gravel surface. Some portions are quite steep just based on the topography, preserving natural areas, etc. So if you're trying to make a road like that out to Garnet Valley on slopes like that, you'd be disturbing quite a bit of land with fill, for example, to lessen the grade of the road that would be suitable for public regular travel.
Okay, perfect. So just for myself to best understand, just the implications of a decision like this really is making sure that residents or potential residents up in that area, never mind living in the agricultural lands below, but really my concern would be for the residents up top in the event of emergency events, about how to safely evacuate certain areas. I know we don't necessarily plan every stage of a development with that in mind, but I'm just trying to kind of look at the different angles when we're putting a large number of homes in one area. I do have another question, but I'm happy to wait. Or can I go with the second one? Okay, thanks. Just my second question was about just a clarification about where the sewer modeling is currently at. I know in one presentation it said it had been submitted, and the other one it was complete. Can you just remind us where the sewer modeling is at for the proposed development?
Yeah, absolutely, through the Deputy Mayor. Just to expand on the last point, in regards to emergency egress, there are stipulations in the SDS bylaw to require that. For example, dead-end roads can't exceed 200 meters in length. There have been variances in the past where council allowed a longer dead-end road with emergency egress, but say maybe the homes were sprinklered past that 200-meter length. So there are options, but there will be some form of emergency egress required, or otherwise coming back to council for asking for an exemption. The sewer modeling is still in a draft form. We've had the draft form since the first reading. We've been talking with our consultant about getting it finalized, and there were some minor wording tweaks that the utility department had to provide, and most recently, the consultant was out of office leading up to this meeting. So we are still in draft form. We're expecting it any day now. But we do have the results. We're aware of the results. We just can't formally provide a final copy of the report at this point.
Okay.
Just because it's not stamped by an engineer.
Gotcha. I'm just trying to best understand if that affects the decision-making on today, but I think it's a higher level than that. So thank you.
Okay, I just have a question. Concerns were brought up, and this has happened many times before when we have rezoning or new development going next to farmland. What kind of provisions are in place when we for a developer when they're doing a project and it is abutting ALR land or an active farm?
To the Deputy Mayor, thanks for that question. It's a good one. For multifamily development permit areas, and we do have policies in the official community plan about buffering. It is, and in the zoning bylaw, I think it is next to ALR land, which isn't, it's agricultural land to the south, not ALR land. So it wouldn't be as stringent, but there is a policy in the OCP regarding buffering.
If it's okay, so if it's not in the ALR, like there's farms right below, is that those properties still? Would they still qualify as agricultural land? Would they still have to have a buffer? Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's been a long day.
Yeah, I don't have the exact policies in front of me, but I think there are definitely buffering policies in the OCP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question was, in terms of congestion, for amenities, if there was a development to go there, would anything have to be improved along Sanborn in terms of like a sidewalk? Like I can't remember what's along Sanborn right now, or coming out onto Bentley Road in terms of improving walkability and safety?
Yeah, that's a good question, Deputy Mayor. The development would be required to construct any extensions of public roadways to the development site and through the development site. And in our most recent update of the SDS bylaw in 2022, we incorporated hillside design standards, which allows for on-street parking, has curb and sidewalk included in those standards. So throughout the development, things like that would be included. When it comes to off-site considerations, not fronting the development site, the SDS bylaw doesn't apply. It allows us to require improvements along the frontage of the property up to centerline. So something like that could be contemplated by council through a resolution as a condition of the rezoning. If there was some sort of from point A to point B connection that you wanted to see made. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Council, any other questions for staff? Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Through to our team over here, our planning team. Just for clarity's sake, when we're talking about agriculture, abutting, residential, and we're talking about buffering, just for our residents to be clear, does the responsibility for buffering lie with the farmers, or does it lie with the obviously the new developments?
Through the Deputy Mayor, it lies with the developer, so it would be on the property of the rental land.
Okay, so that's what I believed it to be. It's just I recognize that what the neighbors to the proposed development were saying is that to have anybody who's trying to walk or ride their bike along Sanborn is right next to an active farm property. And so he was expressing concern about just operating his farm while users are walking or riding bikes beside. And I can see where he's coming from with that. I don't think there's much room along that road to add a sidewalk in, or for example, a multi-use path because of the slope on the east side. I think I'm just saying, so I'm just trying to make sure that we just have clarity about where the responsibilities lie, and if we do have a large number of people living up top, that they understand that the connectivity to town is somewhat limited in terms of we won't really be able to build out sidewalks to those locations. So I do recognize that that is a reality up in that location. I think it'd be very challenging.
Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Connie. I don't know whether this goes to Bobby or goes to our planner, Julie. So when you look at access to the downtown, it's only 25 minutes. People do ride their bicycles, people do walk, and they walk in from Prairie Valley out towards the landfill, the houses in through there. There are lots of places where we have roads that are beside farming areas and fruit growing, and they get sprayed and they put signs up at the end. I mean, there's a lot of notifications so that we are used to dealing with those things. In terms of the developer looking, or us looking to the developer for sidewalks or otherwise, could you comment on the opportunity for that in that area?
Through Deputy Mayor, the opportunity, I think, is with the development cost charges bylaw. So you want to identify, through a plan, this is a place where we think a sidewalk is required, and then you collect funds for this project through a DCC bylaw because it's identified. And when a developer comes in, they pay their DCCs, it goes into the fund, and that fund goes to that project. I think that's your opportunity to collect money for some project like that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just through our staff, just for clarification, agricultural, thanks. Just for clarification, if I may, agricultural buffering is only for the adjacent property. If you have a development, if you have a development, it's only that if you have agricultural property abutting your development is where a buffer goes. It's not to do with anybody down a block away. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions for the applicant or for, one second, Kendra? Can we have the member of the public speak still? Yeah. No, we're finished. Okay, that's what I thought. I'm sorry, I called 3 times, so.
I know, but I've been listening, and I have
just a point of order, Deputy Mayor. You haven't closed the public hearing. There's no reason people can't still speak. Don't.
Okay. All right, come on up then. Yes, turn it on. And then state your name and address.
Michael Dickinson, 17209 Bentley Road. Everybody's talking sidewalks and all this stuff. The issue I have is there's no sidewalks from Bentley Road up. And women walk there nonstop all day long. You put 300 houses up there, you're going to get 10 times more people walking than you got now. something's gonna go wrong somewhere. It's just that easy. I mean, someone's gonna get hit at some point, I believe. You know, that's all I want to say is there's just no sidewalks anywhere. Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, so seeing no more questions from council, and I did call for a third opportunity to come up and speak. So I will close the public hearing now at 6:55. Okay. Just double checking, is a motion needed to close it? No, we're good? Okay. Okay, thank you for that. We will now reconvene our regular council meeting. That's following the public hearing, and we'll start that at 6:55. We're now dealing with the bylaws from the public hearing. So the topic that we were just discussing, and we're going to be discussing third hearing, or third reading. Council, do you have anything that you would like to discuss now? We also need to get a motion as well.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll pass the staff recommendation, get it on the table.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Peak? Thank you. Okay, any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we were talking this morning in the Committee of the Whole in regards to the proposed new OCP and the housing types that we are looking for and the different styles in which those houses we need in Summerland, and we also talked about our aging population. So I think we need a project like this one in Summerland. When it comes to the sidewalks, that's why we have our master plan for our sidewalks. And that's why every lot that will be sold on this project will have DCC charges that will go into our DCC reserve. And at some point, maybe not tomorrow, but sidewalks will be built to get to our downtown core, or where the road might not be quite as busy to get down to the downtown core. So it doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen eventually. But I think that as what's been proposed, and even going to a medium density, as was spoke, you don't have to build an apartment. You don't have to build a duplex. It's going to be up to the developer to build the housing stock on those properties that is going to sell. And and it's the same as what we found with Hunter's Hill. And I think that we need something like this. We need it for our housing stock. We need the diversity of housing stock that this is going to supply. And I think this is a good move to look at us for in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, I think an obvious question concerns the urban growth boundary, and people wondering, well, how can you have an urban growth boundary and then another one that's not contiguous with it? Like, why is this out there? Well, that's Summerland. We deal with the hand we're dealt, and there's all that agricultural land in between that can't be developed. And a lot of land that's not developable for steepness or ecological values and stuff. So it doesn't work that an urban growth boundary is one big circle that encompasses everywhere that we're going to build. So I think that, I hope explains that sort of idea, because to look at a map, you'd sort of wonder. Some concerns were raised, and they are legitimate concerns. Or at least questions. The sidewalk one, yes, but there's an answer to that. At some point, sidewalks can be built. And how we finance that, that's the only question. And we'll have staff work on that for us, because I think everybody kind of sees the need eventually. Because Rome wasn't built in a day, and there's not going to be 300 people living there tomorrow. It gives us time to get that done. There was concerns about the housing types, and I'd say we're moving forward on both fronts there. I agree with Councillor Patton that it's the market, the builder's going to supply the housing units that he feels people want and need. And that's how our system works, but sometimes it needs a nudge. And an example of that is the affordable housing going across the street, which the district has supported, substantially, with financially and whatever cooperation we have. So that answers that question, I believe. Traffic, I don't see the traffic. It's only the foot traffic that concerns me. But the traffic, and I'll give you my thought process on that, and hopefully maybe influence somebody. But I live on the Knight Street, and all the traffic from Deer Ridge, which is 75 homes or more, were funneled down to Knight Street during the construction, and I have to back out of my driveway, hope there's no cars coming, and maybe with 75 cars going back and forth to work and whatever, and kids, once a month I'd have to wait for a car to go by. That's how much that many houses and how much traffic they created. So now that doesn't happen, it's once a year, maybe. So those, I don't see that many units creating any traffic jams, as was expressed. So all those considerations, there's no project that is perfect. I have to support this. I see it as a real step forward for Summerland.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Van Elfen.
I just, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I appreciate what Councillor Bark was saying. The OCP, if it was perfect, we'd be building right over here. But it's ALR land. We're stuck. We got ALR constrictions all around our community. I look at this development. I look at Unisys School, Pollock Terrace, that area, housing, townhouses, fourplexes, duplexes. I look at Deer Ridge and our proposed eco village. Not much further away. They're all about the same range from our downtown core. So I don't see this as out in the boonies anywhere. I'm very fortunate. I live out in Garnet Valley. I farm out in Garnet Valley. Hook onto the tractor with a 12-foot swather and start dodging people on bicycles. I understand. You're going to have pedestrians, you're going to have cyclists, you're always going to have that. I'll come down Jones Flat Road and there's certain people that are, out walking their dogs. Well, you veer over, you give them the right of way, and it's just the way, this is what our community is. We share our roads, we share our amenities, and I think this is a great development. I like the multifamily aspect of it, and I think it's a plus. And I'm hoping that I will be supporting it.
Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Trainer. I feel that this is an opportunity for our community. I do feel that we need more diverse housing. I think we need to be able to reach to the people that are sort of in the middle category. And if there are smaller apartment houses or fourplexes, that gives different range in terms of acquirability. The half an hour, the 20 minutes in is just great. People love to travel. There are lots of children that aren't on buses right now and have no opportunity to be on buses. And if the winter's bad and certain days, the parents may bring them down. There are other days they may travel on their own. We look at what will be coming in for transportation, our multiplex plans for along Victoria that will bring us up to the area of coming into this. And I just think that this is a good opportunity for our community to see a different way of how you bring about that kind of diversity and mix. I understand what was spoken about in terms of cluster housing as well. We don't have that particularly here, but that would be something that might be worked forward. So I just feel that this is a time for this to come. Certainly, we will be looking at some intensification in the downtown area because of the pre-planning that's been done, but it'll all go around at different paces. Not everything happens at once. When we got townhouses across from the Baptist church, that took a long time to get in there. It always takes time for stuff to go through. But I think that this is the time for something like this. And we've actually been looking at it for quite a long time, not just this past year. So I think it is a good thing to be doing.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I think we all had to really, just balance out the different demands in our community in looking at this proposal. I struggle to support development when it is further away from the core. I really think intensification is kind of priority number one. And we were talking about this extensively this morning, actually, in how we've been working so hard as the district over the last number of years to do the work to encourage the building in town. But that also has a certain limitation in how it can actually come to be, who can actually afford those lots and move forward. I understand, though, with this property that you just kind of have to look back a little ways to when the approval was made for the Hunters Hill development, and when ultimately sewer and water servicing and electrical servicing was run up to the Hunters Hill development. And that is a decision made long ago. And for me on council now to recognize that infrastructure is in place with a proponent with land, that this now kind of works together, and that's important. That's smart development. Also, for the second reason being that Summerland is so limited in where we can build because of our agricultural land, and our residents continuously say that protecting our agricultural land is really important. And that means that our building opportunities then land on steep slopes and hillsides where you can't farm. And so on council, we have to balance these requirements. So now I'm looking at servicing that exists in place that's being paid for, and then additionally this opportunity with land on a slope. So for those reasons, I understand there's challenges with water, but that will have to be met at different stages by the developer for the project to move forward. And I just think that this missing middle of housing that everybody is talking about right now, this allows people like our parents who are in single-family homes, which are in large single-family homes, they can downsize into townhomes, into multifamily units, which opens up housing for younger people who are looking to grow their families. And that is part of the flow of adding development, especially mixed developments in our communities. So for those reasons, I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. See if Mayor Holmes said, no, he doesn't have anything. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Barco.
I would just add that for Summerland, this seems like a long ways out. It feels like that, and I'm sure people will be saying that. But you compare it to other communities, say Penticton, where it's not even the distance from one side to the other, or Sage Mesa and West Bench areas. It's probably similar at least to development in those areas that were done a long time ago. And they're all single family lots, and this will have higher density, including the subsequent phases of Hunters Hill, and that will add efficiencies to the whole servicing. So I recognize that it seems like a long ways away, but in comparison, it's not so far.
Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a comment on the young lady that spoke earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, but you spoke quite eloquently. And the part I really appreciated what you said was, I like the idea of this multi-use development, if that's the correct wording. But I like it the way that it will form community. You're going to have single-family homes. You have that up there already in Deer Ridge. You got multi-million-dollar homes, let's say. which I'm not against. But in this type of subdivision, you're going to have townhouses, cluster homes, that it's going to be a different price point in all that area, where the nice part of that is you're going to have different groups of people at different income levels, let's say. You're going to have younger people, older people, and I think that's what makes community. And I think that's a really neat, positive point about this development. Thank you for your comments earlier.
Okay, thank you, Council, for all your comments. Most of what I was going to say has been said, but I think in Summerland, us as a community, as well as on council, we're constantly balancing the need to protect farmland and the integrity of the farmland, but also building more homes. We kind of have to just, navigate that constantly. How do we do all of the things? And I think that's what makes Summerland special and unique. We exist next to each other. Down in Trout Creek, there's orchards next to homes, and there are days where there's spraying and people have to shut their doors, and that's the way it is here in Summerland. When you move here, that's what you have to deal with. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think, again, that's why people move here. They love the uniqueness of our town. So I think when we sit around the council table, we really try to look at all these things and say, okay, how can we achieve more housing, which we desperately need, but how can we also make sure that our farmers are getting what they need? So I think there's enough protections in place here. That's my comment. I'll just ask Mayor Holmes if he's got anything before I call the question. He's good? Okay. All right. Seeing no further discussion then, we have our motion on the screen there. Call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on our agenda, we don't have any delegations tonight, so we will move on to development reports and business items. Continue there, and we are at Summerland Pickleball Association Indoor Pickleball Court Facility at Peach Orchard Campground, and I believe Lori has that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I associate you with pickleball. You're our pickleball champion.
Thank you. Okay, tonight I'm Laura, planner here, and I'll be presenting the pickleball court proposal. So council directed staff to assess the feasibility of the Summerland Pickleball Association's proposal for an indoor pickleball court facility at the Peach Orchard Campground. Oops. So the property is located at 6321 Peach Orchard Road, east of Highway 97 and west of Okanagan Lake, as seen outlined in pink in the map. The property is accessed off the north side of the site from Peach Orchard Road. The property is currently district-owned land and is used as a campground operated by the district during the summer months, consisting of approximately 121 sites. There are existing courts on the southeast portion of the campground. During the fall, winter, and spring months, the campground is closed and the property is used as an off-leash dog park. The Summerland Pickleball Association presented this sketch plan to council September 9th, 2025, proposing to construct an indoor pickleball court facility to the east of the existing courts. This proposed facility is approximately 670 meters squared and would eliminate approximately 20 campsites. The parcel is designated tourist commercial within the OCP. Recreation is a supported use within the tourist commercial designation. Therefore, an OCP amendment would not be required to construct an indoor pickleball court facility. The OCP establishes development permit areas. The pickleball court facility is being proposed within 3 separate development permit areas: the watercourse DPA, environmentally sensitive DPA, and the high hazard DPA. These DPAs are established for environmental protection and the protection of development from hazardous conditions. The property is zoned CT2 campground. The CT2 zone permits campgrounds as a principal use. Uses such as recreational facilities for campground guests are permitted as an accessory use for campground guests only, whereas the proposed courts are intended for the Pickleball Association and other members of the public. Therefore, the proposed use is not permitted within the CT2 zone. The subject site would require a successful rezoning application to permit recreational service indoor to accommodate the use of the proposed courts by the association. As the proposed location lies within 3 separate development permit areas and does not comply with the zoning for the property, to move forward with this application, the applicant would have to hire multiple qualified professionals to determine where might be a buildable area that's safe for the proposed use. Staff have referred this application to internal departments. A number of responses were received, which are provided in the staff report. Comments to note are from the Works Department regarding the potential requirement for water, sewer, and road upgrades. From the Electrical Department regarding the existing overhead power lines within the park having limited capacity, upgrades may be required. And procurement identified the need to address ownership of the building at the end of the potential lease term. Staff recommend that the Summerland Pickleball Association look for an alternative location to construct their indoor pickleball court facility for the following reasons. The current CT2 zone does not permit the use of indoor pickleball courts, thus requiring a successful rezoning application. The proposed location lies within 3 separate development permit areas and would encroach within multiple environmentally sensitive areas. And to construct the proposal at this location, the requirements of multiple internal departments, such as servicing and electrical, may be extensive and expensive. Staff are recommending that the District of Summerland inform the Summerland Pickleball Association to look for an alternative site to construct an indoor pickleball court facility. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. Council, do you have any questions? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the report. I do have a question. So where the proposed building is on the side where it abuts up, I believe it's called Charles Street, or the crest there for the cul-de-sac. So I can see by the drawing that it is in a high hazard area. What if the building was flipped over on the other side, off the Blewett side, where you would miss the high hazard area? I'm not too worried about riparian because the district can waive riparian areas as far as it goes with development if it has something to do with the district. So we do have that ability. If there's some environmentally sensitive areas that we need to deal with, I'm sure. But when you take a look at that, is it feasible to have instead of having the access off of Blewett, have the building on that side, and maybe perhaps have the parking come in on the side that shows the existing building? I guess what I'm saying is, would it be best for the proponents to come back with a bit of a redesign that might be more favorable for staff to come up with maybe acceptance?
Potentially. As you said, if it's only going to encroach within one development permit area, not in the SPIA, typically the province doesn't approve that. But that might be an option depending on access and whatnot with Works Department. And I think the other requirements would still be necessary, unless there's any other.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's just, it looks by, whoever did the drawing up, I think the intent is great. I just think the building is in the wrong place. based on the high hazard area, but if we, where the high hazard line is on the other side, if we can eliminate that, for the pickleball building, might be a good choice or, suggestion.
Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, I would suggest that there's some challenges with a different location down there that are not necessarily obvious in the drawings here. But, going with the premise that, okay, they have to keep looking. I wouldn't want to have them concentrate their search on that site without a real good survey of other potential locations, because there's still a lot of challenges. There's two sort of, there's a, I don't know, seasonal creek, maybe you might call it, that joins Eneas Creek to the side, water seeping out of the ground. Natural spring, I guess, is a nicer word. And I don't really like the idea of losing camping spaces if we don't have to. So I don't know what other options were considered and discarded, but this one doesn't appear to be on the face of it a good one for me.
Mayor Holmes.
Well, I would certainly like to know is there anywhere back there where it could fit? We just looked at that one spot which they proposed, but it can a building fit there in there anywhere? And then then we have something to work with. If the answer is, well, no, it can't fit in anywhere, then okay, well, we have that answer. But I mean, really, we can't just pose, maybe we put it here, maybe try it there, maybe try it there. I mean, where can we put it? Or I think we need to know that. I'm not too worried about losing those camping site spots back there. They're not very well used. They're tent sites. It's the demand is for the trailer sites. So, I just think we should know whether it can go there or not, anywhere back there, before we move on and make a decision.
Councillor Peak, did you have a comment?
I would like to find out if there is a way of accommodating it here. But I was wondering, just because I don't know, the Living Memorial Park area, does that have space? I don't think you heard me. Does the Living Memorial Park area have space to do this kind of installation on for pickleball? Put your microphone on.
Through the chair to Councillor Peak, I don't believe there's space given the 3 ball diamonds there. I know we were looking for dog park space up there and we couldn't find room for a dog park, so I don't think we'd be able to fit courts up there. Okay, I'll go to Councillor Van Elfen and then Beth.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through to our Director of Parks and Rec. Has the rodeo ground ever been considered?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Van Elfen, we did put it out there when we were doing the rodeo grounds master plan to all groups to see if there was any interest. At the time when we were doing the plan, there wasn't a lot of interest from the pickleball folks to go out there just because of the distance from downtown out to the rodeo grounds. But we were looking at outdoor courts at the time. So when we are now looking at indoor courts and an actual structure, we haven't really fully explored that for an indoor facility. Okay, Councillor Betts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what I'm trying to think about is, I can see the limitations on this spot. I mean, even if we were to say flip where the building is, I recognize what Laura was saying is that, yes, it would need to go through a rezoning. Okay, not impossible, but it's something to be checked off the list. But it's that our works and electrical departments were saying that there could be some big challenges actually getting the infrastructure to the site. So, but one thing I'm kind of wondering about is we've got tennis who are proposing a dome, and we've got pickleball who are proposing a dome. And I'm just wondering if these two great heads have met and collaborated to bring together all of their advocacy, lobbying, and money to come together to council to a great, instead of two, right now, we've literally got two individual user groups coming to us for two domes. And I see that there could be some working together to achieve a goal here. So I realize that's not a question for you, Laura, but I think that I would like to encourage these groups to work together for a solution. I know that we're also encountering some headwinds with the location of a dome, a potential dome at the lakeshore, so that we're still trying to navigate. But my question would be, in terms of servicing a proposed dome like this, which doesn't seem like a serious permanent structure. I mean, I'm not sure of the scope of the building itself. When I look at the picture from the proposal from Summerland Pickleball Association, it's a pretty big facility. We need a site that's large enough to support, obviously not necessarily what's in the picture, but you need a large flat space to be able to do that. And so I'm not sure that eliminating a quarter of our campground for tent camping and right beside a red zone and a creek that might flood is the ideal spot. I can understand why they would want to continue building in that spot, just that buildings have different requirements than courts. And so I'm just hoping that maybe we can come together with another proposal that supports our racket sports maybe together. Thank you. That's just my thoughts.
I think Councillor Barkwell had his hand up, and then Councillor Van Elfen.
Yeah, if councillors are agreeable to the idea of the pickleball court on that campground land, then why not sacrifice the sites next to the road and put it there? If that's, if you're okay with, it is publicly owned parkland. Camping should really be a commercial operation, and parks for local people's use, which the pickleball players are. It could be rationalized that way, but maybe not until all other alternatives have been exhausted.
Go ahead.
And I didn't say it to offend the pickleball people, but I keep bringing up the rodeo grounds because you know what? This spot is probably great today, but it won't be 2 years from now. Like, this is going to keep growing. I go to Mexico and there's people hobbling around everywhere to go play pickleball. Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. And the sport is going to take, it's taken off. It's going to continue to take off. I'm looking at a location that can grow. The rodeo grounds has that. Oh my God, we're not driving to Vernon. It's only there. It's not that far. I think it's got potential. You could have outdoor courts, you could have indoor courts. And as the membership grows, that building is easily expandable and continue on. There's water, power, septic. I mean, there is options, but I'm just throwing it out there. I don't mean to be insulting. I love their idea of Peach Orchard, but I don't know. Like, I don't see the potential of expansion in the future. So that's my comment.
Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor Peak.
Counter to what Councillor Barkwell said, the sites at Peach Orchard Campground towards the road are well occupied all summer long. I think it's a very advantageous campground. I don't care who's providing it. We give it out to someone to run it, and it's our lands. I just think that the location for camping is wonderful because people go down and use all of the activity and the swimming and whatever below it. So I don't like to make it smaller because you put them where the campers actually usually go, the RVs and that.
I just throw that out because to me it seemed in a campsite here or a campsite there, it sounded like some councillors were not at all concerned about preserving campsites. So does that mean you would be against that location in the campsite because it costs 20 sites, you know. So, you know, basically it's a non-starter for you, anything in the campsite.
I prefer to see it somewhere else. I do understand that where the tent camping is, it is not as well used. I'm not quite clear whether you flip the building and where that actually is. But I have to support the idea that this is going to get more intense in terms of usage. And when we look at where your opportunity might be, you look at the rodeo grounds, that's an open area. It's going to be a recreation area. I mean, Summerland's not that big. I don't understand why people aren't willing to travel a little bit either. I did suggest that maybe the opportunity on the Giants Head school property, there's a fair bit of green open area that isn't playgrounds, whether that's an opportunity. So I would prefer to see it go elsewhere.
Go ahead, Councillor Barr.
So you've kind of convinced me that, I mean, that the rodeo grounds is not that far. If you lived in Sage Mesa, which I referred to earlier, how far would you drive to go play pickleball or anywhere in, you know, on the outskirts of Penticton? So those distances are comparable.
So I think, oh, go ahead.
No.
I think what I'm hearing is the mayor wanted to know if it's even possible, if there's another spot that the building could go on at the campground. I think that was one thing that we heard. And then the other thing that I'm hearing is that we'd like to see if there, you know, if the rodeo grounds is a possibility. I know it's been on the radar before, but kind of going back to the drawing board. And then Councillor Peake's idea about Giants Head. I mean, maybe there's an opportunity there. So it seems like, I think we all want this to happen. It's just a matter of finding where we can put it. And I'm not sure if squeezing it into the campground is good for longevity. I don't know. So if there is a spot, like Mayor Holmes said, if we could know that, if it could be fit in there. Is there anything else that I'm missing in this discussion? It kind of feels like we need to keep going a little bit more. Go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Just to build on one of the thoughts that I had from before is that, you know, in terms of looking at the campground itself, until the fulsome proposal is in front of us, which it is today, you know, we didn't necessarily have a look at the impact to the campground. That's the first time that we're having a chance to look at losing 20 campsites is not an insignificant proposal. You know, that's a decision unto itself. And I don't know about the usage in the summer, and I would want that information from our campground contracted owner, operator, right? The person who does that, to tell us how occupied those campsites are, because those generate revenue for the district. And so for me, that's not a decision I would just take lightly, you know, and or on hearsay. I actually want to know numbers. So, you know, for me, like I support the concept and the growth of this sport. I think that's what's really the most important thing. That's what I'm hearing too around the table, but that maybe this isn't maybe the best spot. That's at least where I'm feeling right now.
Mayor Holmes.
Yeah, we did have a discussion on potential other uses of the back part of that campground. We didn't specify pickleball necessarily, but that's why in the last contract we specifically made a provision that we could remove that land at any time because because of this exact kind of purpose that we might want to use it for something else. So that's in the contract. We had that discussion. That's why we put it in the contract. So I'm not too bothered by that. But you know, I'll bring forward the staff recommendation, which is for the Pickleball Association to look for alternate locations. I don't think it's necessarily up to us to find out that alternate location. And certainly we can make it known to them that maybe if they can look at other parts at that back of that campground could be an alternate location, just not that exact spot. But let them determine that. And And I'm sure they'll be watching this video, and they can hear our conversation about stuff, the rodeo grounds or wherever else that might be things that they might want to check out. But let them do that. And so I'll put that motion on the table.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Betts has seconded that. I think that that's a good compromise. And yeah, like I said, I think we're all in favor of this. We just need to find the right spot for it. So just a little bit more work to do. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just want to make sure that there is the possibility for expansion in the future. I don't want them to be constrained in an area where they can't expand, because I see this isn't stopping. And, you know, our demographics seem to be getting up there. Speaking for myself, I'm not into pickleball yet, but a lot of my friends are. So I think it's just going to keep on growing.
Go ahead, Councillor Patton, and then Peak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Holmes, but I do think that there is potential for that building to be on the other side. Based on where, you know, they have the parking stalls there. A parking stall for one vehicle is 20 feet, about 20 feet long. So you got, if you doubled that up, that's 40. So their whole building is only 80 feet wide. So I think it is possible. And I think that it might be, I would really like that for that, as well as other locations. But I think that not to rule this one out, because it may be it may be one of the better spots when they come back to us.
Councillor Peak.
Mayor Holmes, I just wanted to let you know, you can't see them, but we have representatives here from the Pickleball Association.
And they are watching closely. They're making notes and taking names. Okay, well, thank you for the discussion. So I'll call the question now then. All in favor of the proposal? Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to zoning bylaw amendment for 9600 Brown Street. Julie? You up with that one? Oh, Laura, okay. I have a list right here too.
It's all good. I'll present this one. No problem. I'll be presenting a zoning bylaw amendment application at 9600 Brown Street on the corner of Prairie Valley Road and Brown Street, and the property lies within the downtown core. The subject property is owned by the District of Summerland and is vacant, currently used as a public parking area. Council directed staff to initiate a rezoning process for this parcel in accordance with the intent of the official community plan. Additionally, to provide recommendations regarding better alignment with the neighboring parcels. The property is currently designated DCI, Downtown Core Intensification, within the OCP. The DCI designation supports higher density mixed-use buildings with building heights up to 6 stories that include multi-story apartments located above ground and ground floor commercial uses in order to create a compact, walkable, and vibrant downtown for residents and businesses. The property is currently zoned institutional. The proposed mixed-use zone permits many similar uses as the institutional zone on the ground level, with the key difference being the additional use of apartment housing also being permitted above ground level. The adjacent property to the north, 9450 Prairie Valley Road, contains the Summerland Badminton Club, and they use the subject site for access through Brown Street. The existing driveway access point for the Badminton Club is directly off the roundabout and does not align with the current standards within the driveway access bylaw. For public safety reasons, the Works Department would prefer to close this access point within the roundabout to align with the bylaw. Since the subject site is an access to the Badminton Club, If the property were to be successfully rezoned, a covenant, easement, or boundary adjustment may be required in order to provide access for the badminton club building. Through this rezoning, there's an opportunity to provide a permanent access point for the badminton club. Ideally, 9450 Prairie Valley Road would have an 8-meter wide driveway access as per the district's driveway access bylaw. The property could have a covenant placed on title requiring a driveway and an access point could be built on the east of Prairie Valley Road to the badminton club through 9600 Brown Street. Staff have referred this application to internal departments and external agencies requesting comments. Comments were received from both internal and external agencies, which are provided in the staff report. The comments received do not indicate objections to the application. The Development Application Procedures Bylaw requires a notice of development sign be posted on the subject property by the applicant. It also requires notices be posted to the district website and mailed to properties located within 60 meters of the subject property, advertising of the proposed bylaw amendment. The district cannot hold a public hearing for this proposed bylaw amendment in accordance with the Local Government Act because the bylaw is consistent with the OCP that is in effect. The application was presented at the latest Advisory Planning Commission meeting. Some of the comments and questions, which are within the report, were regarding access, long-term vision for the property, and sufficient parking. The APC resolution was not supported. Staff support the application for the following reasons. The MX1 zone permits apartment housing, which may assist with increasing the housing supply in Summerland. The MX1 zone aligns with the direction in the Downtown Neighborhood Action Plan and the draft official community plan update. And it may be an opportunity to create a better, more permanent access point for 9450 Prairie Valley Road. Staff are recommending that council support this application for approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Betts.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Question, Laura, with this new proposed designation, permitting recreational indoor as a principal use, could it be on the main floor? Could pickleball be on the main floor of an apartment building?
Through the chair, yes.
Oh. Do we want to talk about possibilities or limitations right now? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I understand this falls within all the things we want to see happen. I happen to think it's really important as a parking area. So if we approved it to be rezoned or whatever this is, then could it still be a parking area until it got whatever developed? Like, I'm concerned when you're going to reduce your parking by 40%, which is in your comment section, I am concerned about parking for Summerland.
Through the chair, yes, that would be a 40% reduction in full-time day only parking. And this parking lot in particular isn't typically highly used. So, am I on? Oh, sorry.
Are you out at night? It's highly used in lots of times. I mean, I know it gets highly used when we have the Remembrance Day service and the Fall Fair and the Action Fest. But it's used a lot. It's quite full a number of times when you might normally be by it.
Councillor Barkwell.
I must be missing something here, because when I look at the diagrams, well, there's a couple of things. If they built the access point where to the on this 9450, I got to pull up that map again. You can drive past the side of the badminton hall and park on the other side of it. And so I don't see where there's a reduction in parking as long as there's some sort of, no build covenant on parking only, which would be access for whatever's built on the rest of that lot, 9,600, sorry. That's one access point, and then Brown Street's the other access point, and that's that's access for both sites. Where's the 40% reduction in parking come from?
Through the chair, the 40% is like all of the downtown parking area, the full day number of stalls.
But from this rezoning change that Councillor Peak was referring to,
So,
oh, I see. Yeah, building.
yeah, I mean, right now it provides 40% of day parking.
I
But
see
there is a
what you-
lot of use, not just at daytime.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not saying that the highest and best use is probably to do a building on it. I'm just saying until such times as you had somebody came along, that you would still allow it to be parking.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's pretty important as parking, but I know I would be a minority in that, so.
It is, I agree with you, parking's one of my big issues
Yeah.
for downtown. Okay, I just thought that you meant that there was something I was missing there, but it's when it's eventually built on for whatever it is.
That's right. It will cover most of that area. The parking that is
Yeah.
there will go for the building. Like I won't be able to park there
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
going out and doing stuff.
Public parking would be lost.
Exactly.
Okay,
I
so
don't
the other
know
thing
how we
is,
replace it.
right now, it seems to, the access off the roundabout, I can understand why you wouldn't want that, but it looks like it comes through city-owned land and then onto the lot. Is there even a covenant for the current access they have that crosses the city-owned land? Not important, but it seems ironic.
So engineering wise, there were problems with some kind of water thing on between like the museum and the parking lot or whatever. So we're sure that we're not having any complications around the area that you can go down beside the museum, and right now you can go out onto the circle.
Through the deputy mayor, the issue with the museum was the sewer line, I believe, was underneath the proposed structure and would need to be rerouted around so it would not be underneath a structure. Something similar does actually happen on this site. There's storm mains that go through this parking lot and catch basins, and a similar solution is available. They would need to be moved, and a statutory right-of-way would need to be amended to reflect the new location of the storm. But again, there are ways around it and solutions available.
Thank you. Do we propose that there would be enough parking on the other side of the badminton building for the people that use the building?
Through the deputy mayor, I think the proposed solution that we've come up with, an arbitrary one, is that an easement could be registered over the subject site, and that would allow for access for the badminton hall to access that property through the subject site and allow parking, for example, have some extra room for parking, but yes, also to get access onto their property and around the existing badminton hall for parking on that opposite side as well.
Mayor, are you really hearing me? I'm looking for how many parking spaces will you get on the other side of that building?
Through the chair, when we did a rough calculation, just to make sure, we looked at the parking requirements for the zone, and we did look at possibly 8 angled parking stalls being fitting in that area. So when we said 8 meters, that allows access plus some angled parking on the south side of the building. Plus, there is room for vehicles to still go around to the north side of the badminton hall and still park.
If I made, the angle parking is on the uphill side of that building. I'm not good in direction.
The
right
south,
there.
yeah.
And otherwise, they could go over to the church and park or something.
Mayor Holmes, go ahead.
So yeah, just 40% of full day parking. It's not a lot of parking. We don't have a lot of full day parking, but we just had a big conversation, I think in our last meeting, about parking and whether we wanted to make more full day parking. If we lose some full day parking, we just make some other parking full day. I mean, it's not that. Let's just put things in perspective here. My concern is this. I wasn't really expecting this to come back with the easement, and what does that mean in terms of the value of the property? I would think that it will lower the value of the property. That if you have to have an easement in place like that, and that it'll make it less attractive for people who might want to develop it. So, maybe we need to kind of look at that whole block, including the badminton hall, and I don't know if the badminton hall parking lot. Maybe something should be built there, and we do a swap, and then give them some of the land on the other side for their parking. And I think we need to kind of re-look at this whole site, because if if we have to guarantee badminton hall parking lot, that just really shrinks the size of that property too.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but a reciprocal access agreement can be changed at any time. So that's what we're looking for here. We're not really looking for an easement. It's going to be a reciprocal access agreement that allows the badminton club to travel on that property to get to their parking stall, and vice versa, that the parking right now on Brown can use that space to park and go out. The other question, or what I'm asking is as Councillor Peak was saying, 9511 is district property. And there is a space between Prairie Valley and the badminton where people drive already. Is there the opportunity of putting a reciprocal access at 9511 so they can park on that property when we close off the traffic circle? Because then at least you would have, instead of the designation where you have it, we would still have that full lot, but we would just get an agreement, an access agreement to get, so the badminton club can get in behind and give them the agreement on the district property at 90, on the other side of 9511. I'm just thinking, I agree with Councillor Holmes, we take that chunk out, and it's going to reduce the value if we go to sell that piece of property. But a reciprocal access agreement can be worked in to get to the badminton club, because as you say, it is pretty dangerous coming off that traffic circle and making that right turn right there. It's that's a brake screecher, that one. So
you have to look at our GIS images of that area. I mean, they already are using part of the district's owned land for parking. So the question is, how many parking spots do they need? What's appropriate, and can they be fitted in that area north of the building? If that's the case, then everything's solved. Just an access agreement, and presumably access would be incorporated into whatever development was done on 9600, and they would just drive beside the building, and all badminton parking would be to the north when shoppers aren't using it.
Okay. Does anybody want to bring forward a motion, or what do we want to do with this one? Go ahead, Councillor Van Elfen. Okay, so seconded by Councillor Patton. So just on the screen there, go ahead, Councillor Betts.
Thank you. For me, I'm kind of more along where Mayor Holmes was kind of leading about kind of, I'm not certain about what the limitations are and what you were talking about with allowances, et cetera. It's a little late in the day. I'm having trouble putting all of the technical aspects together right now. I'm trying my best. Sorry. But Mayor Holmes was kind of getting at a point. What I'm trying to think about right now is the highest and best use of this piece of land, and not being hasty making decisions if it's not quite right yet. So for that reason, if I was to vote no, it would just be that because I would like to look at it a little further, to see if we can maybe turn the dials a bit. So I'm just feeling a little uncertainty. I don't know if Mayor Holmes has any constructive feedback to build on that, or where we go from here.
You hold me in too high of a regard, Councillor Betts. No, I don't have any further ideas on what to go from here. It's that we could either rezone it. It doesn't. If that's our intended purpose, it's just a matter of figuring out how we're going to do it. So whether we figure out how we're going to do it first and then rezone it, or rezone it now and then figure out how we do it, I guess it doesn't matter. But maybe staff have a perspective on that.
Okay. Okay, I'll go to Councillor Peak and then Patton.
Okay, I understand the concern we have. If it says in what we pass that it's a covenant on title, does that mean it has to be a covenant on title? Or I guess it does, because you want to get them to parking on the other side. I'm not clear because I don't see a survey, what the amount of land is. If I face the badminton building, if it's on the left-hand side, do they actually own land that parking can be there? So if I
Maybe through the chair, I'll just clarify. So there are a number of tools that we could have used. So you can put an access easement, you can do all kinds of things. The reason I said a covenant on title is a bit more general, to allow for future opportunities. So if we say it has to be this 8 meters on the north property boundary, then what if someone comes in and they buy the badminton hall and this property and they consolidate, and then there's this access easement? When we put a covenant, we can say generally that we want to have an access for this 9450. Then we don't need to hire a survey. It's a little bit to save money too, right? Because if we say it's got to be an easement, you have to hire a surveyor, you've got to get these, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit of money saving. It's a strategy. It doesn't have to be a covenant. It could be an access easement. It could be reciprocal easement, that type of thing. We just are proposing a covenant because we thought it allows for some flexibility in the future.
I really appreciate that defining of it. I don't have a difficulty then.
Where are we at now?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
1.5 hours?
Is it possible, we know that the rezone is going to take this property to the highest best use of that property. That's what our main goal is. It's right now it's still going to be a parking lot, and it's going to be a parking lot until at some time it sells or whatever the case may be. So at this point, even though we rezone it, we wouldn't have to put a covenant on it at this point, because there's no reason except for us to say eventually we need parking access to the badminton club. But would that have to be done now, or could we just rezone it so that we get the best and highest use for the land? And at time, if we ever got an offer on the property, could we not go into negotiation?
Through the chair, you're correct. And I just want to make you had a point. It's about the parking, right? This is a parking use. So right now it's grandfathered. One thing we want to consider also is that if this property, we want it to be highest and best use. If it ever goes for sale, it's grandfathered parking use. A company could come in and keep it as parking. So something we might want to consider in the future is putting a temporary use permit for parking on there so that that use ends.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Barkwell.
I was wondering, what is this covenant going to say? I was like feeling kind of vague, but now after Julie's explanation that it's simply there and then it'll be solved in whatever ways best at the time, I support the resolution as presented by council or staff because I think I understand it better now, and it satisfies my concerns.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Julie, in your opinion, if we were to do the rezone, would it be in our best interest then to in parallel do a TUP for temporary use for the parking until at some point we sell the property or whatever happens with that property? Or do you think it's a moot point until something actually happens?
Through the chair, I think both points are really, really valid. You know, we could not do the covenant now. We could just rezone it and deal with that later. We could, same with the temporary use permit. We could do that later with direction from yourselves. So right now we could just, you know, do the rezoning. It's in alignment with the official community plan. You know, it's your decision, but you're right, it could happen later.
Thank you, Julie. And the thing is that's what we're looking for is an alignment with our OCP because right now it's not in alignment. So, we're looking for the best and highest use for that piece of property. Perfect.
Councillor Peak, did you have a comment? And then I'll go to Mayor Holmes.
So would it make sense for me to do amendment and take the covenant out and just we're rezoning the property? Is that what you do? Just takes it out of discussion at the moment. We rezone the property, have all the potential, and later down the road, we make the solution. It's grandfathered now, so it doesn't matter.
I'll go to Mayor Holmes and then you can come back if you want to make your amendment.
Yeah, I don't really know why we need to have a covenant or a TUP. You know, we could just have conditions of sale. I mean, we just do what we did with Hillcrest. And because we don't want somebody buying this property and turning it into a paid car park or something like that, you know, an in park or something like that. You know, we wanted, you know, we can sell it on the condition that it's developed within X number of years, and if it's not, it reverts back to us exactly what we did in Hillcrest, and then you don't. We're going to, because what we're going to give a TUP to ourselves, and then we're going to have to reapply in 3 years for this to renew our the TUP for ourselves. I think that's cumbersome. So I think let's just rezone it, put it up for sale, and negotiate the conditions.
Okay, that sounds good. So Councillor Peak, are you going to propose an amendment?
Yes, I'll propose an amendment to take out the Section 219 covenant on title, however Kendra wants to.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Betts. Okay, so we're going to vote on removing Section 219 covenant from our motion. Any discussion on that?
We had a motion on the floor.
We're voting on the amendment.
I apologize. Thank you.
That's okay. Okay, Kendra, is that right? Okay, so all in favor of removing that, it's the amendment. Great, that carries unanimously. Oh, you didn't. Okay, one opposed. Councillor Barkwell? Did you want to state why, or are you good? You're good. Okay. All right, so now if there's seeing no further discussion, I will call the question on our amended motion. Okay, all in favor? Great, opposed? Councillor Barkwell. Okay. All right, thank you for that. Okay, moving on to zoning amendment bylaw for 9306 Prairie Valley Road. And this is Laura.
Thank you. Yes. So we'll be presenting another zoning bylaw amendment application proposing to permit a carriage house. The applicant is in attendance this evening. Very patient trooper of an applicant. The subject property is located at 9306 Prairie Valley Road, adjacent to the downtown core. The property lies within the downtown mapped area, Schedule K, within the OCP. The subject property currently contains a single detached dwelling and 2 separate accessory buildings, a garage and a shed. Vehicle access to the property is from the north off Smith Street. The property is currently designated MDR, medium density residential, within the OCP. The MDR designation supports medium density developments in close proximity to both low and higher density developments. The designation is intended to provide alternate forms of housing, such as townhomes, row housing, and act as a transition between low and high density. The subject property is zoned RMD, residential medium density. The RMD zone includes a number of principal uses, such as apartment housing, multi-unit housing, and townhomes. The RMD zone includes many of the typical permitted accessory uses found in other zones, such as accessory buildings and secondary suites. Carriage house is not a permitted accessory use within the RMD zone. The applicant is proposing to permit a carriage house on the subject property to provide an additional dwelling unit on the site. The carriage house is proposed to be located within the existing accessory building on the northern portion of the property. Staff are proposing to include a site-specific amendment to the RMD zone to permit a carriage house as an accessory use for the subject property. The addition of a dwelling unit would not only align with the surrounding area, it would also align with the intent to facilitate an increase in housing supply. The subject property is currently in an area of predominantly single detached dwellings. It is appropriate to have a carriage house on the subject property and within the existing neighborhood area, similar to what exists in other Summerland residential neighborhoods consisting of predominantly single detached dwellings. Staff have referred this application to internal departments and external agencies requesting comments. Comments were received from both internal and external agencies, which are provided in the staff report. The comments received do not indicate objections to the application. The Development Application Procedures Bylaw requires a notice of development sign be posted on the subject property by the applicant. It also requires notices be posted to the district website and mailed to properties located within 60 meters of the subject property. The district cannot hold a public hearing for this proposed bylaw amendment in accordance with the Local Government Act because the bylaw is consistent with the OCP. The application was presented at the Advisory Planning Commission meeting. The comments and questions are detailed within the report. The ACP recommended supporting this application for approval. Staff support the application for the following reasons. OCP policies support residential development and diverse housing choices within the medium density residential designation. The addition of a carriage house on a parcel within the RMD zone would better align with provincial and district policies and regulations. A permitted carriage house on the subject property would be consistent with the density of the surrounding area and other similar neighborhoods. The proposal complies with other site regulations within the RMD zone, and it is not anticipated that the proposed addition of a carriage house would negatively impact adjacent parcels. Staff are recommending that Council support this application for approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you. I would happily move the staff recommendation.
Councillor Peak?
I'll second it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this property is perfect for a carriage house. It's in walking distance to the downtown. The problem that we have is all those houses along Smith Street are all RMD. So every time somebody if anybody else wants to come forward, it's always going to be a site-specific zoning change for this type of development. So I would really like to see, and Julie and I have been in discussion, to see in that RMD zone if we could include carriage homes. Because I think it would be, at this point, we I don't know if the right word is stifle, but we put in roadblocks to our citizens that want to do a carriage home in a perfect location where we talk about infill. And so anyways, I am more than happy to put this through. Thanks.
Can I ask a silly question? Why are carriage houses not permitted again? Can you remind me?
Yeah, through you to you. I believe probably you might have a better answer, but when they're originally doing this site back in the day, I think the vision was for higher density apartment housing and townhomes.
Okay, any further comments on this? Mayor Holmes, do you have anything? I can't see you. I don't know if you're still with us.
I'm good, thanks.
You're good? Okay, great. Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor? Great, that carries unanimously. Thank you for sticking it out. Okay. Yeah. Okay, business arising from our committee of the whole and closed sessions. Kendra, do we need to do anything with this? Just rise and report?
To the mayor, just the council does need to confirm the resolutions made at the December 9th, 10th, and 16th committee of the wholes that were made by council and committee, which are on the screen.
Just having a quick peek here. Okay, so this is grant and aid and all of our budget discussions. Okay. Great. Councillor Peak?
I'll move it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barkwell? Okay.
I'll second it, and I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the one that caught my eye was the Lakeshore Rackets Club, 125,000 grant and aid. Last I heard, the last that I remember hearing anyway, is there were some complications with it. Where does that stand? Is that $125,000 still set aside in the budget? And they're working on the project, or is it dead in the water? Or what
I remember.
I'm just looking at Julie, if we have any, with the Lakeshore Rackets Club, the tennis proposal, if there's any update there in terms of if they're exploring other options or alternatives.
Through the chair, last I heard that they were talking with the fire folks and the building folks to see if it was possible. So I don't have an update.
So it's not dead. It's still a possibility. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thanks.
You're good? Okay. Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder, all in favor. Oh, go ahead.
Well, there's just the other part of Councillor Barkwell's question, which I wanted to point out, is in the motion that's in the Horizon report regarding their 125,000 grant and aid be funded from the Capital Works Reserve on the condition of the receipt of all external funding to fund the project, and that the Lakeshore Rackets Club provide community programming subject to council approval. So it was conditional to the external funding be provided, but it is still a commitment of council in the motion as long as some form of that project goes ahead. So I just wanted to answer that second part of his question before we moved on there.
Go ahead, Councillor Peak.
Sorry to take longer. Does that mean if all the conditions don't work forward, that money would come back, wouldn't be committed?
Thank you, through the chair. So council's current motion is subject to that external funding coming through. But council, at its own discretion, can change their motion at any time to provide other conditions or to remove conditions.
Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor? Great, thank you. Does anybody have a notice of motion? No? Okay. Councilor reports. Go ahead.
Not really a report. The Rotary's 50/50 for the KVR trestle repair is now live, so you can get your 50/50 ticket on the Rotary site. So to help out the KVR repair the trestle. Thank you.
Very cool. Okay, Councilor Betts, go ahead.
Thank you. So some of you might know, I'm now the president of the Summerland Secondary School Parent Advisory Council. Just like you, we're taking on more leadership roles in the community with all our extra time. And I just wanted to invite our community out. There's a Summerland Community Wellness Fair. This is directly coming from the work of the Youth Suicide Working Group and bringing all of our different service providers together in one place at Summerland Secondary School on Tuesday, February 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. Where parents and kids can come and see together what really is out there to help everybody through tough times. Please come.
Yep, and that is open to everybody. Even though it's at the high school, it is open to anybody to come if they want to learn more about the kinds of services that we have in our community. Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, I just want to note that the Citizens on Patrol is just about ready to roll. If you want to drive around town aimlessly in the evenings like you did when you were a teenager, please join us. Just waiting on hear back from Mr. McGregor. I don't know, he's a sergeant, is he sergeant? Yeah, in the district, to hear some just to settle on the logistics of the access to the software that they have in with stolen plates and such that they check while they're driving around and get the keys from the district on the Fiat 500.
So if people are interested, do they contact you?
They could.
Okay.
They could email me at my council address. I see some interested parties in this room.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Barkwell. Anyone else? Councillor Peak. Oh, sorry, Councillor Van Elfen, then Councillor Peak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to remind everybody, this Sunday is the family skate and hosted by the District of Summerland in conjunction with the Summerland Kinsman Club and the newly formed Summerland Junior B Hockey Society will be there. Join us on the 15th and make a suggestion for the team name and check out our new team bus, which will be there, and take part in some wonderful family activities. Invite the whole community down. There will be the opportunity to become a member of our society, and you can contribute, and we'll be able to take your funds. Thank you.
I bet you will. That sounds great. That's very cool. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor Peak.
Thank you kindly. As president of the Summerland Food Bank and Resource Center, we're doing a launch for our capital fundraising. We need at least $325,000 to finish the interior of the strata that we're going to own once we get an address and it's all surveyed and actually belongs to us. So we're doing it on the 25th at 1 o'clock, 1 until 3 at the hall at the Stone Church. So the Summerland United and Anglican Church in the hall. We're doing a presentation. I'm doing a presentation at 2 o'clock, and we have invited media, businesses, council to attend as well.
And sorry, what day was that again?
February 25th.
February 25th. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, and just one final note. We are entering the 11th hour of today's meeting, but just going to end our meeting, unfortunately, on a sad note. There's been a mass shooting in Tumbler Ridge at the high school. This happened today while we've been sitting here, and 10 people were killed. So it's a very sad day in our country, and our flags will be at half-mast tomorrow. So just want you to think about all those people and how fortunate we are to live in Summerland and be able to sit here together. So thinking about everybody in Tumbler Ridge and the mayor and council and all the families and everybody who's been horribly affected by this. Okay. Sorry to end it on, but that's the reality. So thank you very much to staff and to council for our long day today. Very good work. Thank you to Graham, and I'll call for an adjournment.
And just a reminder, happy birthday to our CAO. It's not over yet.
Okay, do I have a Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Peak, all in favor? Great, thank you.
Thank you.